So, today we are going to be going over graphing linear equations with fractions. Now, I know whenever people see the word fractions, they usually always get a little anxious because they're like, oh my god, fractions, I'm really bad at working with these. But when it comes to graphing them, it's not that bad. It's the exact same process as we've been doing, just with whole numbers. Now, we just need to do some operations with fractions. So, how do we go about solving these? Well, again, you'll be given a chart here. Again, I'm only having x, y, and then the point xy for my chart here due to space reasons. But on your worksheets and practice problems, you will see that you'll still have that extra column in there to do your work. So, like any graphing problems, we have to solve for our y's and then our points. So first, when x is 4. Well, when x is 4, I'm going to be plugging in, I'm going to be plugging in 4 into my equation. So, y is now equal to 1/2 times 4. Remember, whatever x value we have in this column here, we are replacing it in our equation and multiplying it with that 1/2. So we have y is equal to 1/2 times 4 plus 2. So now, when multiplying fractions, you always want to multiply your numerators and divide your denominators. So the number 4, it is the exact same thing as saying 4 over 1. So that means I multiply 1 times 4 on up top and 2 times 1 on the bottom. So I am now left with 4 over 2 plus 2. Well, 4 divided by 2, that's just going to be 2. So I end up with 2 plus 2. And that's 4. So when x is 4, we get y is equal to 4. So then we have the ordered pair 4, 4. Now, when x is 2, we're doing the exact same thing. Now I'm going to erase the work here because, again, space issues and to keep everything organized. If you need to go back and watch that, you can rewind the video and pause it at a certain point to see the steps. But now, when x is 2, y is equal to 1/2 times 2 plus 2. 1/2 times 2, again, that becomes 2 over 2 plus 2. Because of 1 times 2 there, that's how we get 2 as our numerator. 2 divided by 2, well, 2 fits into 2 one time, plus 2, we get 3 there. So, when x is equal to 2, y is equal to 3. We end up with the point 2, 3. So now, when we are plugging in 0, we have y is equal to 1/2 times 0 plus 2. Again, anything times 0 is 0. So 1/2 times 0, that's just going to become 0. 0 plus 2, it's just going to be 2. So when x is 0, y is 2. So you end up with the point 0, 2. And now, last but not least, we have negative 2. So we are going to be taking negative 2 and plugging it in. So y is equal to 1/2 times negative 2. 1/2 times negative 2 is going to be negative 2 over 2 plus 2. Now, remember this. Division follows the same rules as multiplication when it comes to negative numbers. So this negative out in front, it's a negative divided by a positive. So my final answer with that fraction is going to be a negative. 2 divided by 2, again, excuse me, that's just going to be 1. So you have negative 1 plus 2. Whenever you have a negative number like this and you're adding 2 to it, it's the same thing as 2 minus 1. 2 minus 1, that's just going to be 1 there. So when x is negative 2, y is 1. And we end up with the point negative 2 comma 1. So now let's go and plot our points and graph our line. So the point 4, 4 means we are going over to the left 4 on our x-axis and up 4 on our y. So end up right there. For the point 2, 3, we're going over 2 and now up 3. For the point 0, 2, when x is 0, that means we're moving right along our y-axis here. So we're staying at x equals 0 and going up to when y is equal to 2, plotting our point there. And then last but not least, negative 2, 1 means we're going over to negative 2 and up 1. And now we're just connecting our dots and drawing our line just like that. So let's take a look at one more example of these. For our next example here, we have y is equal to negative 2/3 times x plus 1. Now, again, don't get confused with the negative 2/3. Again, we're still following the same steps we did in the last example. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our first x value, 6, and plug it in to our equation. So you get y is equal to negative 2/3 times 6 plus 1. So negative 2/3 times 6 becomes negative 12 up top, divided by 3 plus 1. Now, negative 12 divided by 3. 3 goes into 12 4 times, but then a negative divided by a positive there, well, that's just going to be a negative again. So we have negative 4 plus 1. Negative 4 plus 1 is negative 3. So when x is 6, y is negative 3, and we get the point 6, negative 3. Now let's take a look at what happens when we plug in negative 3. So here, y is equal to negative 2/3 times negative 3 plus 1. So negative 2 times negative 3, we're getting positive 6 up top, divided by 3 plus 1. So 6 divided by 3, that is going to be 2 plus 1, and you get 3 for your answer there. So when x is negative 3, y is positive 3. We get the point negative 3, 3. Now, when x is negative 9, again, I plug it in. Negative 2 divided by 3. Negative 2/3 is the same thing as saying negative 2 divided by 3 times negative 9 plus 1. Now here, we have a negative times a negative, and we're getting a positive, just like in the last example there, or just like when x was equal to negative 3, I should say. And now we do 2 times 9. We're getting 18 all over 3 plus 1. 18 divided by 3, that is going to become 6 plus 1. And 6 plus 1, nice and easy, is just going to be 7. So when x is negative 9, y is 7. And we get the point negative 9, 7. Now, we go to graph our points. When x is 6, y is negative 3. Now, if you ever get a graph like this, where you only have 1, 2, 3, 4 x values, just extend it. So we end up with 5 and 6 there. So I'm going over to 6, and I'm going down to negative 3 right there. So now, when x is negative 3, right there, y is positive 3. So that means we're going over to negative 3, and we're going up to positive 3. Now, when x is negative 9, again, this only goes up to negative 4. Well, let's extend our graph a little longer. We get negative 5, negative 6, negative 7, negative 8, and negative 9 right there. So when x is equal to negative 9, going all the way out to the left to negative 9. We are now going up to positive 7. So negative 9's there, positive 7 is right there, and we are just connecting our dots. And then just draw your arrows at the end as such.